Well, Jerry Patton, we had Black Monday in the NFL. That keeps rolling right along a little bit today as Mike McDaniels let go as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Listen, as frustrating as times have been throughout this season as an Eagles fan, the one thing we've always got to come back to is pretty consistently in the Jeffrey Lurie era, this team has been playing in a tournament for a shot to win a championship, and they'll do just that once again on Sunday. It's a Cat Country 96 Birds recap. It's brought to you by Miller Lite, the official beer sponsor of the Philadelphia Eagles, and by Cat Country 96, 49ers, Eagles. It's 3 o'clock on Sunday. We're going to start with the pregame for a 4:25
Pregame's at 3, kickoff at 4:30. Yeah, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a war. I mean, the last couple times these teams played, we all know what happened.
Yeah.
And, Big Dom got suspended last time, I think it was.
Was that the 49ers game? I can't remember if that was the 49ers game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of it's funny because when I think about these two teams, but to your point, it does feel like I think about like there's a history there, but they haven't played each other a ton. They play the NFC Championship game, and then the following season, there really hasn't been. But something about when these two teams come together, they've only met twice in the playoffs in history. There is just something about maybe it's the lore of the 49ers from the 80s and 90s and before the Eagles really got into their run that just makes this feel like a really big kind of competition between the two.
The same thing was happened the past couple of years when Minnesota would come to the link. They played a couple of games. It was like there was that hate. It's like, how do you hate Minnesota? Same thing as San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I think the two defenses are huge. I think they're really, really good. And I think it's going to be like a, 21-16 type game, something like that.
Well, the question kind of for me is in that assessment of yours, Jerry, is who gets to 21? Because this offense for the Eagles has been all season. I've been saying it. This is a Super Bowl caliber defense, especially in the back half of the season. If this offense can get to 24, that's the number to me. If this offense can get to 24, and it's not that I think the defense is necessarily going to give up 23, but it's also hard to say that there's not going to be plays that happen, that teams aren't going to get one by them. That happens. That's the league, which says to me, if this offense can find a way to get to 24, even if the defense has a play or two that gets by them, they've got a really good chance to win the game.
Contrary to popular opinion, I think the week off last week really helped. The main starters were rested except for, Devontae Smith played a little bit. He got his 1,000 yards in there, then he gave it up. But I think the week off rest is big. I think that helps. The 2 or 3 seed, what I said from all along was if you're the best, you have to beat the best, and you have to play and beat who's ever thrown in front of you. And if it's San Francisco this week, I mean, fine, go beat them. And then see what happens from there. I think that it's a situation where I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I just do. I think a couple of big plays might happen that will get you to 21 or maybe 24, hopefully. But it's not going to be a burnout of a scoreboard game because the defenses. Listen, San Francisco's a West Coast team. I haven't seen them play a lot this year. I did see them play 2 weeks ago, and they're really, really good. They really are. But I think that our defense can have some fun with them. I think you have to stop Christian McCaffrey from running. If you can stop him, then you're going to be okay.
Well, the reason I asked you about the score, you said you thought 21-16 kind of a game, is that this feels like this is a banged up 49ers team.
It is.
Ricky Pearsall, their linebackers.
Is Warner back?
They're not very good. No. Their defensive backs. He hasn't practiced, at least. I know he himself has been trying. It sounds like Kendricks is going to be getting the start at linebacker for them, who was a guy who, listen, he's a veteran player, but he's been in this league for a long time. This offense to me needs to take advantage of that because this just feels like a game where this crowd, if it's to your point, if it's a 13-10 kind of a game in the fourth quarter and the Eagles come out and they have to punt, it's going to be a hostile and reckless environment in Lincoln Financial Field. So to me, I'll ask you this. If the Eagles win this game to you, if they do what?
The Eagles will win this game if they do not get a bunch of stupid penalties, pass interference,
Mm.
offensive pass interference calls. In a critical situation when it's 3rd and 4, an illegal procedure call makes it 3rd and 9, makes it a little bit more difficult. I really think you got to lay back off the penalties and play a good, clean game.
Yeah, for me, and I agree with that because they have had stretches of this season where they've shot themselves in the
Yeah.
foot. But I think the one thing that could happen on Sunday that would give a lot of people a breath of fresh air, and I think would kind of give an kind of scenario for the rest of the league, is if they're able to run the football. And
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
that's Saquon, whether that's Jalen, whether that's Tank
And
Bigsby getting more touches, if this team can find a way to, and it's not a good San Francisco defense, so there's really not a reason to me to say that they can. I'm not saying 250 yards on the ground, but I'm saying have a day, one that establishes a line of scrimmage and gives them an opportunity to win the game. That to me could be the best thing that could happen in this game, not only just because it's the 49ers and you're playing this game, but to the rest of the league, and kind of send a is this team finally back on the track that they were on last year when they won a Super Bowl?
so, in your opinion, what is wrong with the running game this year? Why did it not take off? Is it the offensive line? Is it just bad scheming? Has Saquon lost a step? I mean,
I think there's a couple of things in there. One, I think it's the offensive line is not the same. Say what you want about Mekhi Becton because he had the season that he had with the Chargers, but he did an excellent job getting to the next level.
right.
In whatever inside zone, whatever schemes they were doing, he was just a road grader in there, and I think was an important part of that. I think injuries. Listen, Cam Jurgens had off-season surgery. Landon Dickerson had off-season surgery. Lane Johnson's been out of the lineup for a good stretch of the season this year. I feel bad pinning it all kind of on Tyler Steen and Mekhi Becton leaving because I don't think that's fair to him. But I think if you kind of put all of those things together, that's a big part of it. When you mention scheme, how much of Jalen Hurts not running the football was a factor in changing how defenses played? I don't know, because I think the offensive play calling hasn't been so great. Felt like early on in the season when they felt like a healthier team and they were running pin and pulls and they were doing different things up front, they would get a pop. And then all of a sudden it would be, well, we're not going to hand the ball to Saquon at all in the second half. We'd go 3 and out 4 or 5 times in a row. Here we go again. So I think there's a lot of different elements at play. I think we'll see all of the tools in Jalen's toolbox, I think, in the playoffs.
Jalen's been running the ball a little bit more over the past couple of weeks. He really has.
Right. And whether you say that that's his decision or the team's decision, or they just haven't drawn it up kind of that way. We saw him that Rams game last season, the Packers game last season. He had a couple of big plays with his legs that changed the games in a positive way. So
Yeah.
I think when you put all of those things together, by the way, a really in that, we go back to that Chargers game and how bad it was with all the turnovers, but that was the first time we saw some real kind of route concepts, like things that were just beyond verticals and hitches. And so I think you put all of those things together. People talk about being under center and the ability to play action and do all those things. I think you put all those things together, and that's why the ground game hasn't been what it's been. I think you just need one day, particularly a playoff game at home against a banged up defense, that can give you all the confidence in the world to set things up for yourself to be a good offensive team on Sunday. It's a Cat Country 96 Birds recap. It's brought to you by Miller Lite, the official beer sponsor of the Philadelphia Eagles. Cat Country 96, of course, the Lehigh Valley's home of the Eagles. 4:30 on Sunday will be that kickoff. You can catch the pregame there as well. And by Banco Beverage Company. Find them at bancobeverage.com. Defensively, man, are you with me? I just think this defense has been, and it's funny because you mentioned pass interference and stuff like that. You want to talk about a world of difference between the starters on one side and the backups on another. It should make you appreciate
Ringo, our boy.
Yeah, it should make you appreciate a really good Eagles defense even more. Are you with me? Is this a Super Bowl caliber defense? Do you think
I think it's probably the number 1, number 2 best defense in the league. Yeah, absolutely. It's a Super Bowl caliber defense. I think Fangio is a genius. I think playing with the people he's playing with, he's got there his pieces. think that the one thing I like about them is this: they tackle. How many years have we gone by
Yeah.
where they would get to the guy and the guy would just run him, they missed a tackle? They tackle. They're able to tackle. They bracket the guy, they tackle, they stop the run. I mean, Cooper DeJean and Blankenship, and my God, N'Kobe Dean's probably going to be back this week as a linebacker. I think the defense is totally a Super Bowl caliber defense, without a doubt. The defensive lineman, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis is having a Pro Bowl year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
God mighty.
Yeah, and you add in the depth that they added with, obviously bringing Brandon Graham was back, but Jalen Phillips, and I think both of those guys have
Jalen
really,
Phillips was the biggest one. That was huge.
Yeah, and just their ability to play inside and out. I think even if it just takes a couple of reps away from the defensive tackles to catch their breath a little bit, takes a couple of reps away from the defensive ends, the edges as we call them now, to get there. And I just think their rotation has been so strong. So you mentioned 21-16. Is that the number you're sitting with? What's the final score of this one for you, buddy?
I'll say 21-16 Birds. I really will. I just think that playing at home is going to matter this week. They play really well on the road. There's no question about that. I think it's just going to be a stoked up, amped up stadium on Sunday. I think a 4:00 game against a huge team is going to be big. And I 21-16 Eagles.
They beat the Packers at home last year. It was 22-10, and that kind of feels like a score to me in this game. I'm going to give Christian McCaffrey a little more credit and say that they can score more points than that, but 22-13 kind of feels like a score to me in this one. But if the Eagles can just, it's hard. It's like the defense is so good that I don't want to pick against them. That said, until the offense shows that they are a team that can score with the Rams and score with whoever, it's hard to it's hard for me to say that they're going to score 22 points.
Well, I mean, okay, you're talking about the Rams. The Rams have Matthew Stafford, who's 85 years old. No, he's 37. Puka Nacua, they have the one receiver. We got two great receivers. We've got the players. We just don't have the scheme.
Well, Devontae Adams is had himself a nice resurgence this year and had himself a great year before that hammy got tight on him. So we'll see. Either way, I think we both think the Birds win this game. Hopefully the next time you and I are talking about it, we're talking about a thumping of the 49ers and getting ready to go to Chicago, or how about the Packers get a win and we host another game at Lincoln Financial Field? That would be huge. So we'll see how it all plays out. To me, the most exciting weekend in sports all year, wild card weekend, just around the corner. And we are looking forward to
a great week of games. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's the Cat Country 96 Birds Recap, brought to you by Miller Lite, the official beer sponsor of the Philadelphia Eagles. Merrill, Mike, 4:30 on Sunday. You'll get the pregame on the Cat as well. Cat Country 96, of course, the Lehigh Valley's home of the Eagles, and Banco Beverage bringing us this. So, Jerry, maybe the next time we talk, we're out somewhere in the Valley talking about a win, getting ready for whoever the next game is.
Celebrating with a couple of Miller Lights.
It is the Cat Country 96 Birds Recap. Go Birds.